We're coming to you from outside the Parliament. The Parliament session is all set to begin today. In fact, the all-party meeting of the 18th Lok Sabha took place today, and the stage is all set for a stormy session of the budget. In fact, tomorrow, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is all set to make history by becoming the first Finance Minister to present her 7th consecutive union budget. She surpasses the record of somebody like Morarji Desai, the former Finance Minister of the country. Well, many questions are there awaited when it comes to the budget of India, but the political system, the political alignment in the Parliament is also very different from what we saw in the last 10 years. There is, of course, a dominant BJP and the ruling NDA, but clearly the numbers are not up to what the NDA or the BJP expected. So clearly there is a resurgent, aggressive opposition. How is the budget going to reflect those changes? That is something that will be very important to see. Today, the economic survey is going to be tabled around 1 o'clock is what we hear. Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister, will also be tabling the pre-budget papers. And of course, then, we'll have to also see as to what the opposition does with regard to that. There's already a notice that has been moved by, a motion that has been moved by Manikam Tagore, who is also the whip of the Congress and also a Congress MP. And he has sought time for discussion on NTA. The opposition has made it very clear, from the NEET controversy to what is playing out in UP with regard to proprietors of dhabas and vendors being asked to display their names. That topic is something that the opposition wants to discuss, saying that the BJP is deliberately communalizing the issue. Apart from that, there are issues of rail safety, Manipur, and also jobs that the opposition wants to discuss. But of course, the highlight of this session is going to be the budget. This is the first budget that comes under Modi 3.0, and like we know, the government has been focusing on fiscal consolidation for the last few years. It has been focusing on increasing the expenditure on infrastructure. The capex has gone up to 11.5 lakh crore last year. So that is something that the government will insist on doing. But at the same time, we can also look at more measures for fintechs, for more measures for rail safety, and more measures for MSME, which of course drives India's exports. In fact, there are 6 crore MSMEs, and the government has made it very clear that it wants to work on increasing the access of MSMEs to international markets. So clearly many things out there, and the government will be walking a tightrope between balancing states' aspirations and also increasing reform measures, putting the impetus on jobs, but at the same time also expanding its social security network. And of course, JDU and TDP are two important allies of the BJP, of the NDA here. Their aspirations also have to be taken care of. Joining me now is a panel of esteemed guests. But before that, let me go across to my colleague Aishwarya, who's been tracking the Parliament. Aishwarya, very important press meet by the TDP coming up. We saw Chandrababu Naidu come to Delhi last week, and he did have a lot of discussions with senior ministers. There is a lot of emphasis on special packages, not just Bihar and of course Andhra Pradesh. Even Odisha is demanding special category status now. So there is a lot of pressure on the government to look out for these regional aspirations. At the same time, the budget is going to be the underlying theme for Viksit Bharat. The Prime Minister has been talking about how he works 24/7 for 2047 vision of Viksit Bharat. What do you think is going to be part of the budget, and what can we expect today?
Well, certainly very, very interesting, Vasudha. In fact, yesterday in the all-party meeting, it was several regional parties who had demanded special packages or the special status for their states, considering in Bihar it is the NDA allies, the LJP Ram Vilas, and also the JDU who echoed the chorus with the RJD as well, who demanded a special status for Bihar. On the other side, it is YSRCP in the state of Andhra Pradesh who demanded special status. But yes, of course, war of words was seen yesterday between the YSRCP and the TDP over the TDP ruling in the state, and YSRCP claiming that just in 45 days of ruling there had been 31 murders. Of course, we have seen Chandrababu Naidu coming to Delhi and meeting the Home Minister, but it would be Jagan Mohan Reddy who would be coming on Tuesday and would be exhibiting the photo exhibition of 31 murders, and from Wednesday onwards he will be sitting on Dharna in between the assembly session that is going on in Andhra Pradesh against the TDP government. They are saying that there is complete lawlessness, and the YSRCP MPs wanted to raise this issue in the parliament as well. But it is just not these two states, but as you rightly mentioned, BJD's demand for special package for Odisha was something that yesterday was seen in the all-party meeting as well. Susmit Patra came outside and stated that this was a long-pending demand from Naveen Patnaik, and interestingly, in Odisha, when BJD was once an ally, but after 25 years they would be sitting in the opposition, as they stated that they are not an ally of the India bloc or the NDA, but they will be representing people of Odisha and will be an independent party, of course. But certainly, today, just ahead of the budget session, there are also several questions that had been raised by the opposition parties regarding the NEET issue, and therefore we have seen that the list of questions that had come for oral answers, Manikam Tagore had moved that adjournment motion and had asked certain questions that whether there would be overhaul of the NTA or not, and that's Dharmendra Pradhan had to respond.
Right.
So yes, of course, we will see a fiery session that is expected today on the first day of this budget session. What would be the response of the government, and whether the demands of the opposition parties will be considered by the finance minister in this budget session, or the budget which is coming up tomorrow, is something that remains to be seen.
Well, thank you, Aishwarya. We'll keep coming back to you. You're tracking this very closely. Also joining me now is Sajjan Kumar, who's a political analyst. We have author and analyst Aarti Jairath with us. We also have Mithali Nikore, economist and of Nikore and Associates. Thank you so much for joining us. To you first, Mithali, because budget is the flavor of this season. What are the top priorities? In fact, what should be the top priorities of Modi 3.0? What should be the economic, roadmap for this government? Because clearly it does not have the numbers that it expected, but of course Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister for the third time, and when I speak to ministers, there's only one thing that the Prime Minister is insisting ever since he took charge, that every work that you do needs to create jobs. So there needs to be an impetus on jobs. He's been focusing on Yuva Shakti. A lot of our consumer expenditure is driven by youth, so clearly there is a possibility that there could be some targeted schemes for youth. In fact, the BJP manifesto did talk about increasing the Ayushman Bharat cover to senior citizens, and also it talked about housing scheme. So clearly the priorities of the government are not unknown. But how are they going to fit all of that in this budget, especially with those reduced numbers? What do you think the government will be thinking when it comes to economic priorities right now?
Absolutely, Vasudha. I mean, the budget of each year, this is my 10th budget that I'm analyzing. And, in the last 10 years, what I found is that each year the government really reflects the priorities for economic growth in the budget speech. The top 5 or 10 announcements are always there in your budget speech. But when you look deep into the numbers, and when you look really into the ministry by ministry allocations and the schemes, there are few things I believe in this budget which will stand out. First is, as you rightly said, the focus on employment, right? We have an unemployment crisis which is characterized by a dual, sort of manifestation, where on one hand, industry is saying, we have the jobs, but we're not able to find, the skilled people to do those jobs. And on the other hand, we have youth, who have aspirations to only enter the knowledge economy and become white collar workers. So I think somewhere, by incentivizing factory work, by respecting factory work, by respecting blue collar jobs, by respecting, the gig economy, and providing more and more government supported social security for gig workers, these are certain measures that, the government could come in place. They already announced a lot of schemes around insurance, right? We have the Ayushman Bharat Yojana. I do expect schemes of that nature to get a boost and to get more of a hike. The second is around skill training, right? Because as you said, industry is looking for people, but if they cannot find, then that means that there's a skill gap and a skill mismatch. And for that, I do expect a recasted Skill India mission, because at this point in time, everyone understands that the Skill India mission is a very important measure, but it needs to be expanded and it needs to be, aligned more with industry expectations. So I do believe that when we're talking about youth, and when we're talking about the unemployment crisis, these two measures on social security on one hand,
Right.
and on skill training on the other hand, very important.
Right. Let me get Aarti here. Aarti, the politics of this is very interesting because we saw a very aggressive opposition in the first session during the oath taking. The highlight of that was also Rahul Gandhi becoming the LOP. But of course, in the all-party meeting yesterday, a host of issues were raised. How do you see the politics of this playing out in the budget and government itself, in some ways, balancing state aspirations? Because the federal character of the country, in some ways, has also become a point of contention under Modi's regime. So that's one thing that the government has been very defensive about. So almost 3 states asking for special category status, of which 2 are the party's own allies, but the party's own allies are also sort of in some ways toning down their aspirations of special categories, asking for special packages. How do you think all of this is going to play out when the government itself wants to expand its social security network but also wants to focus on growth? How do you think the government is going to walk this tightrope?
Years, the government is really going to feel the pressure of numbers. 2 terms, it just was able to do anything it wanted because it had the numbers. But this is the first time that they are now going to have to do a lot of tightrope walking and balance, what it feels is right for, India's growth to achieve that 2047 target of Viksit Bharat and the demands that are coming in. I mean, whatever, there are, of course, demands from the opposition, but more key are the demands from its own allies. Yes, okay, they may not give special category status, but they are all demanding special packages. And now there's a demand that is coming from Orissa as well. So Orissa is a state that is ruled by the BJP. Now, this means larger financial allocations to these states. And it's like a Pandora's box, once you open that, all kinds of demands are going to come from all kinds of states because all states need money today. So how is the government going to balance all this? We're going to have to watch this. And then, of course, there is an aggressive opposition on the other side, which has a whole host of issues to raise, from unemployment to Manipur to need to so on. It's going to be a very, very difficult session for the government. And I think the government is going to have to change its strategy, that strategy that it had for the last 10 years, where it just, steamrollered everybody and did what it wanted to. It's going to have to tone that down and show much more accommodation, much more communication, much more outreach to its allies and to the opposition if it wants a session that accomplishes some business for India's growth.
Right. Sajjan, there's something that I wanted to ask you. In the last few years, if the budget has something that was a constant, it was the Modi government's push for infrastructure. In fact, the capital expenditure has only increased. In fact, it was almost 3.47% of our GDP, 11.5 lakh crore last year. So tell us, when it comes to infrastructure, building these expressways, railway stations, redevelopment of railway stations, airports, this is something that the Modi government has focused a lot on. But at the same time, there are questions about, the quality of the infrastructure. I also believe that some of these aberrations may not really count as SUNAM. But at the same time, there is also an insistence that the private investment is not increasing as it really must. So what do you think the government will do when it comes to this push towards infrastructure vis-a-vis, every government's political compulsion to also increase social security net? Do you think there'll be some balance that the government will find here?